guys, so for today's video, I am going to teach you about chapter 2. Chapter 2 is all about material argumentation, and in this chapter, we are going to deal with the concept of truth together with the different fallacies or the errors in reasoning. Now, I wanted to start this video with a quotation given by Plato. The best persons in the world are those who are ruled by the rational part of their soul. Those who are ruled by their spirited and appetitive soul are not properly human. According to Plato, we have a tripartite soul, meaning that a human being is composed of three souls. These are namely the rational soul, the spirited soul, and the appetitive soul. The rational soul is talking about our rational being. So it is what makes us look for reasons. This is what makes us look for the truth. While the spirited soul is our emotional being, so it is being affected or ruled by our feelings. And the third one, the appetitive soul, is talking about our physical desires. So it is what drives us to eat and to protect ourselves. So that is the tripartite soul according to Plato. So from this quotation, we can say that Plato is suggesting that we should always be ruled by our rational soul. That's why it is very important for us to know this concept of truth. That's why we are going to study it in this chapter. Let's begin with the concept of truth. What is truth? The main definition of truth is that it claims something to be true, or should we say that it is simply the opposite of falsity. That is the definition of truth, or the basic definition of truth. Now, we have two bearers of truth, and those are beliefs and statements. Beliefs are our mental expressions. So these are our ideas or the concepts, the thoughts we have inside our minds. While when we say statements, these are our linguistic expressions. When we express our thoughts, our ideas through words, then it becomes statement. The beliefs became statement. Those two are the bearers of truth. Now let's discuss the kinds of truth. There are different kinds of truth according to different natures of truth. And we are going to start with the kinds of truth that are established through the means of either sense experiences or reasons. So these kinds of truth are the empirical truth and the rational truth. First, let's have the empirical truth. When we say empirical truth, these are the kinds of truth that are established through the means of sense experiences. So meaning, we are using our different senses to define something or to claim something to be true. For example, we saw a green apple. So how can we say that that apple is green? It's because we are using our sense of sight. And that is an empirical truth because we used our sense experiences to define something or to claim something to be true. While when we say rational truth, we are using reasons to define the truth, the truthfulness of something. For example, the triangle has three sides. So it is a rational truth because we all know that if a shape has three sides, it will be called as triangle. So that is why it is called as a rational truth. We are using different reasons. The next kinds of truth that we are going to discuss are whether or not extending our knowledge of something or not. So these are the synthetic truth and the analytic truth. When we say synthetic truth, these are the kinds of truth that extends our knowledge of something. For example, we say that the apple is green. So it extends our knowledge because our basic knowledge about an apple is that an apple is color red. So it extends our knowledge. There is an assimilation happening. So our previous knowledge was being added by another knowledge. So that is synthetic truth. While when we say analytic truth, it does not extend our knowledge at all. For example, the triangle has three sides. So it will not extend our knowledge because we all know that whatever we do with a triangle, it will always have three sides. So it will not extend our knowledge at all. That is analytic truth. So the third set of the kinds of truth are those that are based on whether or not these beliefs or statements apply in all possible solutions or not. So these are the contingent truth and the necessary truth. When we say contingent truth, it does not apply in all situations. So when we say that the apple is green, it will not apply in all situations because we all know that there are apples that are color red. So it will not apply in all possible solutions. While when we say necessary truth, it must apply to all situations, or it applies to all possible solutions. When we say that the triangle has three sides, so just like what I've said before, whatever we do with a triangle, it will always have three sides. So it is a necessary truth. So our next kinds of truth are based on whether the statement may be directly known by everyone or it may only be known by the person having that statement. So it is private truth versus public truth. When we say private truth, these are the statements that may only be known by the person having the statement. For example, in a classroom setting, we have that one classmate who asked the permission from our teacher to go to the clinic because his tummy is aching. So we will never know if his tummy is aching or not because he is the only one experiencing that. So it is a kind of private truth. While when we say public truth, it may be directly known by everyone. So, for example, again, in the classroom setting, so one classmate asked the permission of the teacher to go to the clinic because his nose is bleeding. So everyone in the classroom can see if his nose is bleeding or not. So it is a kind of public truth. Our next kinds of truth are based on whether or not the truth of a belief is dependent of the attitudes, the preferences, or interests of a person or group of persons. So it is objective truth versus subjective truth. When we say objective truth, it is independent of the attitudes, the preferences, and interests of a person or of a group of persons. While when we say subjective truth, it is dependent or it is depending on the attitudes, the preferences, and interests of a person or group of persons. So, for example, we say that Sarah Geronimo is a pop artist of the Philippines. So, it is true because Sarah Geronimo is really a pop artist of the Philippines. But when we say that Sarah Geronimo is the best pop artist in the Philippines, so it is kind of subjective truth because it is just based on the preferences or the interest of some people. Because for some people, it is true. For some people, it is not. So it is based on their interest. So the next one is quite related to our previous kinds of truth, the objective truth and the subjective truth. So our next kinds of truth are based on whether or not the belief or statement is acknowledged by everyone to be true. So it is universal truth and relative truth. When we say universal truth, it is acknowledged by everyone to be true. While when we say relative, it is not acknowledged by everyone to be true. So it means that it is true to some, but it is not true to others. So when we say universal truth, our example of this is just like our example before. Sarah Geronimo is a pop artist from the Philippines. So it is acknowledged by everyone to be true. While when we say Sarah Geronimo is the best pop artist in the Philippines, so that is a kind of relative truth because it may be true to some, but it is not true to others. So that is our universal and relative truth. So our next kinds of truth are based on whether the truth of a statement is arrived through the process of deductive or inductive reasoning. So, before I proceed with these kinds of truth, let us be familiar first with the idea of deductive and inductive reasoning. When we say deductive, so it's like deducing. So, it's from a general statement going to a specific statement. While when we say
inductive. So it's from a specific statement going to a general statement. So the kinds of truth we have here are the certain truth and probable truth. So when we say certain truth, it is using the process of deductive reasoning. So from general to specific, and it is 100% true. So when the statement came from a general to specific statement, so it's using the deductive reasoning, it is 100% true. Well, when we say probable truth, it is using the method of inductive reasoning. So from a specific to a general statement. So it is a probable truth because it has the probability of truthfulness and falsity. So it is 50% true and it is 50% false. So let's have examples for these two kinds of truth. So for the certain truth, let us have this example. So all humans are mortal. Juan de la Cruz is human. Juan de la Cruz is mortal. So as we can see from this statement, it goes from a general statement going to a specific one. And if we are going to examine this, this is 100% true. So it is a certain truth. While when we say this example for probable truth, so Pedro is hospitable. Most Filipinos are hospitable. Pedro is a Filipino. So as we can see, it goes from a specific statement going to a general one, as we can see on the first two lines. And then, our conclusion, we can say that it is 50% true and 50% false because we never know if Pedro is really a Filipino or not.